Hey gang, what's up and welcome back to another episode on Streaming Star. Suits debuted in 2011 and ever since then, it's enjoyed great viewership. The characters on the show are well written, yet there are few shortcomings of the show that entails poor storytelling and an accurate description of the legal world that's exhibited in Suits throughout the seasons. Today, we'll look at the storyline in depth and see the top 10 mistakes made by the writers that we probably didn't notice before. But before we do that, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any more of our awesome videos in the future. Let's get going, guys. Number 10, timeline is sped up. We'll kickstart by talking about the legal system at Pearson Hartman's firm that seems to be working at an extremely fast pace when the whole process is slow, grinding, and long in real life. The first season was realistic as it was written after consulting real-life lawyers and using real cases thought in first-year law school cases. For example, Lucy vs. Zemmer's contract napkin case was a legally binding contract, but over the years, the seasons became too fast-paced and unrealistic. Legal documents are lengthy and take days to complete, yet they were being written overnight in the show. The patent application in Season 1, Episode 2 was written by Mike when it's common knowledge that these applications are supposed to be written by lawyers with engineering or science background, or at least a patent agent with a background. Besides, it's a long document that takes days to be filled while Mike did it overnight. And it takes several days to hear back from the patent office, something which is a huge problem as well in the USA and was overlooked by the show's writers. Number 9, Leonard Bailey's punishment was inaccurate. Leonard Bailey was an interesting character in the show who was convicted for false accusations of murder. We see in Season 6, Rachel and Jessica take over his case and tries to get Leonard acquitted so his lethal injection could be cancelled. Leonard's case was either in New York or in New Jersey, and both the states declared the death penalty to be unconstitutional in 2004. The show's storyline that tries to mirror the US legal system was out of sync in this case. Technically, Leonard should be given life imprisonment for his alleged crime, but the issue was not addressed overall. Number 8, no representation of women that would pass Bechdel test. In the day and age when feminist media is consumed widely, Suits seem to keep failing the Bechdel test that was invented to ensure that there are sufficient female characters on any show with substantial storylines that adds weight to the show instead of their lives and conversations revolving around only men. Suits had some powerful representation of women such as Jessica Pearson, Rachel Zane, and Donna Paulson. Even when Rachel and Donna are good friends, all of their conversations revolve around Mike and Harvey, and while Jessica is an inspiring character, it's disheartening to see her ignoring and showing disgust at the prospect of talking to other women. Some female narratives have also been molded in a way that they complement the male character's story arc. For example, when Rachel was in a quandary to choose a law school, she had to keep Mike in the equation. Number 7, Mike's consequences were unrealistic. At the end of Season 5, when Mike was finally caught for practicing law as an illegal lawyer and his conspiracy to commit fraud, the show left the audience at a cliffhanger of exciting possibilities. It would have been exciting to see the repercussions that Mike would have had to suffer, but we see that there were far too few consequences, which is not only dull, but also quite unrealistic considering he was committing fraud. Harvey is seen once again putting everything on the line to get Mike back to the firm in Season 7. After going to jail for fraud, Mike should have technically been prohibited to work in a law firm, let alone working as a legal professional. Number 6, Mike going out of his way to lie. Since the first season, it's been established that Mike Ross is a genius with a photographic memory. We know he's lying about his Harvard degree to keep working at the firm Harvey hires him at. It gets frustrating sometimes that the characters go up and beyond to perpetrate the lie when Mike could just as easily get a degree once and for all. In fact, Harvey's character constantly pulling Mike out of the danger zone is contradictory to his character. We see how Mike takes LSAT for law students who want to ensure a passing grade, which is another fraud committed by him just to drag out the lie. The dramatic effect of the lie eventually wears off, and one has to wonder why someone as genius as Mike couldn't get into Harvard and get a degree. Number 5. Daniel Hartman's silly mistake. Since the beginning, it's been established that the cunning man known as Daniel Hartman would fight to earn himself opportunities ruthlessly. In the 10th episode of Season 2, Daniel wins the partnership vote and becomes the new managing partner of Pearson Hardman. Harvey takes Mike's aid to get Daniel out of the office as they both rummage through his office content. Mike finds a memo and forges a signature that costs Daniel to lose the campaign that he planned carefully to regain control of the firm. It doesn't make sense that a high-caliber lawyer like Daniel, who's used to go over hundreds of documents a day, would not go over every minute detail, especially the signature, and overlook something as giant as Mike's fake signature. Number 4. Harvey seems to be an expert in every area of the law. It's common knowledge that you can be a criminal lawyer, a family lawyer, or a corporate lawyer. A specialization like any other professional is required in a law degree as well. However, some general practicing lawyers from small firms do cover multi-areas, but when it comes to lawyers in big, well-reputed firms, they usually focus on one specific area of law. Yet we see hotshot lawyers like Mike Ross and Harvey Specter representing cases from all areas of expertise in the first few seasons of the show. We know that Harvey generally practices tax and corporate law, yet we see him working with all sorts of different cases, from mergers and acquisitions to contract negotiators and employment law to criminal defense. He seems to be able to work as a litigator as well as a transactional lawyer. We rarely see him getting any external help from experts because he seems to have endless knowledge, which is quite unrealistic. Number 3. The Ava Hessington case was dragged for too long. Ava Hessington was one of the central focus of Season 3 of Suits. She was charged at the beginning of the season for bribing and then later committing murders. She was primarily represented by Harvey Specter in court, but a lot of lawyers from Pearson Darby Specter came in and out of the case to help her and keep her from going to prison. Although she was later proved to be framed for the murder that was done by Stephen Huntley, Edward Derby's right-hand man, her case went on for the entirety of Season 3. She in turn sues Harvey for his dereliction of duty and his battles, and it eventually felt like it was being dragged gratuitously as the storyline became monotonous in Season 3. This was even more disappointing because Season 2 ended with endless exciting possibilities to happen. For example, Mike and Harvey's companionship was at stake, Pearson Specter's dream was at stake, yet all we see is the unnecessarily convoluted storyline of Ava that was expanding senselessly. Number 2, Mike's photographic memory is viable? Remember, Mike Ross was depicted as a brilliant young man with an eidetic memory in the first season who would know anything and everything, raising everyone's eyebrow. That was also the initial reason why he pricked Harvey's attention, who then hired him. In the first season, the writers made use of Harvey's photographic memory, but along the seasons, especially after Season 2, it seems like the writers have forgotten this feat of Mike as it was completely disregarded. It makes sense to think that the writers had to accomplish the idea of Mike surviving in the surrounding of extremely accomplished lawyers, but on the other hand, one can argue that a person who is distinguished for his memory would keep his password on a computer that has sensitive information about the firm as simple as Ross99, which is easy to guess when Mike was supposed to be capable of learning complex and long passwords. Number 1, Mike was hired with no background check. Finally, number 1, let's talk about a law firm as big and well-reputed as Pearson Hardman's that has special policies to hire only a very selective pool of lawyers who are Harvard graduates. one will naturally assume that the firm must have an unflagging human resources department. Even small practicing firms have HR departments that run background checks on lawyers before hiring them, yet Mike was hired without having a degree from Harvard. Does this mean they didn't have HR in the beginning seasons, or did the HR mishandle the case and made a gigantic mistake of missing a significant detail? Whatever it was, it seems very unnatural. The show, despite its flaws, is loved by a wide range of audiences who enjoys the charming personalities of Harvey, Mike, and the feisty, engaging characters of Rachel, Donna, Jessica, and many others. Fans simply can't get enough of Suits. Well, this wraps up another video which we hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't liked the video yet, don't hesitate to do so now. We'll be seeing you in another video real soon. Until then, take care and goodbye.